Good day, viewers. I bid you welcome to this video. This is your host, Ricky Klein, the Cassette Master, coming at you again with another video. And in this video, we will show you a recent acquisition that I acquired in the presence of Jordan Tuck at a flea market, which is a very nice radio made by Radio Shack, but originally manufactured by Sanjian in Taiwan. I hope you enjoy it. It is the Radio Shack model DX-392. It's a very nice radio from the year 1995. Incidentally, the Speaker Freak 95 year. This radio has multiple bands. You have FM, medium wave, long wave, and short wave. At the top, you show your bands nicely, including your short wave, what frequencies are within what meter band. FM's your standard 87.5 to 108 megahertz. Long wave, something seldom used in the United States, I believe, is 150 to 519 kilohertz. Medium wave is 520 to 1710 kilohertz, which is the same as the AM band. It's just a different wording, more common outside of the U.S. And then short wave goes from 1.711 megahertz to 29.999 megahertz. Yeah, that doesn't just hurt. It megahertz. The cassette section, you have a mechanical pause, which is nice. And you also have cue and review, although I guess there's not enough friction or something and the review isn't working. It just comes to a halt when I try reviewing. Regular rewind works, though. I have a belt taken out of another cassette recorder put in this thing because the original belt literally deteriorated with age. It also features a built-in clock as well as a sleep function. It also has the ability to automatically start recording off the radio at a particular time of day, although I have not figured out that function yet. With the keypad here, you can enter in a direct frequency you want to tune to, or even your meters. Now, I have to make a confession. I am not an amateur radio operator. Pardon me for that sin. Over here, you can see some functions, including radio frequency gain, which I find very nice to have to increase the sensitivity. Notice it has FM stereo, but you'll look over here and it looks like a monophonic device with only one built-in speaker. No balance control or anything like that either. If you operate the radio using the built-in speaker, FM will only receive FM mono, even if it's set to FM stereo. However, if you plug in a pair of stereophonic headphones, you will be able to receive in FM stereo. Another interesting thing to note is that the cassette recorder built into this unit is a stereo cassette recorder. If you record off of FM radio onto a tape with no headphones plugged in, it will record in mono. Only when you plug in headphones will it record an FM stereo station in stereo. I find that very odd, but that's the way this is designed. Also, Speaker Freak 95 has a very similar radio to this, an older model, but seems to be identical in its operation to its digital tuner, which he says can receive AM stereo stations, C-QUAM stations. Now, obviously, there's no AM stereo near where I live, but his very similar radio being able to receive that is making him and I both think that likely this will also receive AM stereo. On any future trips that I may take to Thomasville, Georgia, to visit John Clark, I will bring this with me to see if it will successfully receive AM stereo transmissions. Now, unfortunately, when I got this unit, the cassette section was not working. The flea market finds video uploaded by SpeakerFreak95, where me and him go to the flea market in Louisiana, showed at the end of the video where I had acquired this in the box, in the original box, although it wasn't exactly mint. There is a minor scratch up there, unfortunately, much to my dismay, and it doesn't have the manual or anything like that. But when I acquired it originally, the radio worked. It even had batteries in it, heavy duty, mind you. But the cassette, you just hear the motor run, but the cassette mechanism would not turn. Turned out the original belt had indeed deteriorated with age, so I had to replace the belt. Now, parts of the mechanism were a lot harder to turn than I would have expected, and the belt that I put in was a donor from another tape recorder, because I don't have a brand new one of the same size. So the donor belt isn't perfect, and we're having some flutter issues currently with the cassette. In the future, I may order another kit of assorted belts and do a better belt job on this machine, but for the time being, this is a very thoroughly fluttery tape machine. Unfortunately, as far as live recording is concerned, you have a built-in mic, but you have no provisions for external mics, which is a bit disappointing. So if you wanted to record using an external mic with just factory unit, you'd have to actually use a radio transmitter to do that. So you could use one of those little FM radio transmitter kits, for example, as an external mic if you wanted to. So, without further ado, let's do some operation of this machine. Another thing I want to mention regarding the cassette is it is indeed AC bias, but permanent magnet erase. The frequency response is not very good. The manual states that it is 150 hertz to 8 kilohertz on the cassette recorder. So really, I don't know why they made the frequency response as lame as they did, because they could have done far better for the tape. But my thought is that the main thing with this isn't the tape. The tape recorder feature is more of a secondary thing. The main thing about this is the radio. Okay, so of course FM, you can receive stations. There's a light function.
It's called Rocket Town because long ago they put up a building there in which to build rockets, but none were built and the building's now nothing, which is what it's always been except for a fenced-off dank corner that was once used to store dilapidated fire plugs and is now a filthy daycare for the children of parents who could care less. All around Rocket Town, little houses went up when it was thought the building would soon be full of people making rockets and hauling down impressive wages. They're bad little houses put up quick, and now all the people who were young and
let's try cassette playback of the radio.
Dilapidated fire plugs, and is now a filthy daycare for the children of parents who could care less. All around Rocket Town, little houses went up when it was thought the building would soon be full of people making rockets and hauling down impressive wages. They're bad little houses put up quick, and
let's try built-in mic. This is a built-in microphone recording test on the fluttery cassette recorder of this radio. Let's see how this comes out. Am I right? Dig it with a shovel.
This is a built-in microphone recording test on the fluttery cassette recorder of this radio. Let's see how this comes out. Am I right? Dig it with a shovel.
It also has mechanical pause.
Evidence of absence. And I think that's very true. That's how these sort of issues should be considered.
Mark, a couple of years ago, I was invited to attend a UFO conference in California, and I went. And one of the events up on the roof at night was
Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
We were looking at the night sky with night vision goggles. And we were looking at the stars up there, and clearly you could see them. But he said, watch this. And then he'd point out some things, and I've got to tell you, I saw through my own and they were way up there because they were A to point B, stop, make a right-hand turn.
I believe this BFO can be used to decode single sideband transmissions.
I do not know what they way up there in the night sky. I don't know what they were.
And I can't, I would love to see it. It's so very difficult, isn't it? When you hear people's descriptions of things, and that's something in itself is really interesting. So I've over the years, I've had so many emails from people who've said they've seen something in the sky, and they want me to explain what it is. And I've had people explain exactly the same.
Normally, I cannot receive coast-to-coast AM very well on most of my regular tuners. This one is doing quite a good job on pulling in coast-to-coast, which makes me very pleased. Definitely a lot better performance already on the medium wave band.
It's a planet in the sky, but even so, you still get the same people, different people talk about the same object, and yet their narrative, their description of what they can.
Coach, he can't be in the conversation with Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh went to Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl and won Super Bowls with the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan hasn't won a playoff game yet. And yes, I get it that you're just talking about the offense. Well, he also hasn't had an offense that's good enough to get into a Super Bowl.
On the side controls, the three switch positions are fast, fine, and lock. Fast, you'll increment a bit faster, except it's like incrementing it by 10 kilohertz in the medium wave band, for example. Fine, you increment it by 1 kilohertz in the medium wave band, for example, etc. Lock just disables the tuning knob from doing anything. Let's say we're at one frequency and we want to change to another. You can simply go to the freak input on the keypad and type in your desired frequency, such as, say, 850. Excuse me, I pressed the wrong button. You press the wrong button, you press C to clear. Then you try again. 850. Enter. And then you change to 850.
Physics, particularly, which is, where astronomy tends to hang its hat.
Now let's try long wave. There's going to be nothing on long wave because we live in the United States of America where long wave really isn't a thing. At least long wave works. Wait a second. Is that Morse code I hear? It does sound like some subtle Morse code was found on long wave. Now short. The beep sound came from a piezo transducer whenever it went to a next band. To get to different meter bands, just press meter and then your desired corresponding number. If you look closely at the keypad, you'll notice that above the 1, it says 120 meters. Above the 4, it says 60 meters, and so forth. Clicking the desired number will change what meter band you're in. Here, you can see various different cities listed with a general area as to where they're located in the world, where their time zone is. UTC 0 has London because of Greenwich Mean Time. When you open this cover, there is a small area to write memos. Here is the name badge at the back, the radio stack DX-392, and all of its information. On the cassette recorder section, you can choose normal or chromium dioxide tape. The standby recording, I believe, is for your setting a timer to make it automatically start recording at a particular time of day. And then your beat cut slightly changes the bias oscillator frequency during recording so that you do not have interference with AM radio. You can also plug in an AM external antenna, stereo headphones, or tip negative DC in 6 volts. The only way to actually listen to FM stereo is by plugging in stereo headphones. But you'll only record in stereo if you have headphones plugged in. It'll only receive FM stereo if headphones are plugged in. If you have an FM stereo transmission received on the machine while listening to the built-in speaker and recording, it will still only record it in mono. It will only acknowledge a station as being stereo if headphones are plugged in. On the LCD, notice the headphone symbol with an ST in the middle of it. I'm recording right now off of 88.3 in stereo. To my sadness, though, right now, of course, this machine with all the flutter is going to make the recording not as nice as it would otherwise be. That's just an example of some of the music that I'm playing or recording. Notice that once the headphones are unplugged, even though the station is stereo, the stereo symbol goes away. Here's an example of playing back of recorded music off the radio. I noticed that when I record higher quality music transmissions off of FM radio, there is a bit of distortion in the recording. Which is a bit disappointing. Even though this is AC bias, the recording has some distortion to it. Not from it being overdriven, it just has a certain weird sound. The distortion I'm talking about is not the flutter, it's actually in the audio itself. Although I have not explored all the features, such as the automatic time recording, I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't even know how to operate the automatic time recording, to be honest. That's why I didn't show it. But I really enjoyed this radio. The RF gain function is wonderful. It's great to pull in longer distance radio stations. Very nice. Lots of ranges. I really enjoy it. I believe you can also actually get amateur radio transmissions using this radio. And likely also C-QUAM AM Stereo, although there is none of that in the area where I live. This has been a Cassette Master production.